Quiet on the set. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. I'm dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy. Welcome to Mondays with Myrt, where we talk about anything and everything that's come across our Genia desk since last we met. Randy was mentioning in the green room that every other week is kind of hard because we miss each other. We have to get oriented again. But wonderful panelists. Let me pull the panelists up and we will have a discussion with them. We'll let Randy go first. The question for you all is, what have you been doing lately, genealogically speaking? Now, Randy, you got to keep it down to 5 sentences because you do a lot. Go for it.
Give me the TLDR version.
Yes.
20 blog posts a week, 3 or 4 on AI, and then all the other things I write about every week, and full text search.
Wow. We love that full text search at Family Search. Really helps. Okay, so Randy's our guy in California, a great state. Frank, you're next. What have you been doing at the archives or genealogically speaking?
I'm doing 2 researches at once.
Oh, really?
At the moment. Yes. One for my work, which I already published a little bit on my blog, and one research for a friend of mine who thought that her family might or might not be entitled to have a noble title. But I want to disprove it at the moment.
Of course. Yeah, that makes sense. Would you do me a favor in the private chat? Be sure and give me the link to that post on your blog, because I love to spotlight what our panelists are doing. Melinda, from the great state of Texas. Do you have snow?
No, it's just gray clouds.
Okay, all right. So what have you been doing lately, genealogically speaking?
I just finished watching my SLIG class on advanced material cultures because I was sick during SLIG. So they are nice and they recorded it. And so I'm promoting Myrt's book club because Myrt's book club is about material culture.
Yeah.
And genealogy and mastering genealogy proof. So it's all 3 in 1.
Yes.
So that's what I've been doing in genealogy.
Well, also you submitted homework to book club this week, which is quite telling. I think I have the link for the book club homework. Maybe Randy can find that and share that with the folks who on the YouTube side. What you get in that homework is all the cumulative homework assignments, not just the ones for later today. Thank you, Melinda. Hillary, our gal in Wales, you're my co-host. Melinda's working the YouTube side and Frank's working the YouTube side. Thanks for that. But Hillary, what have you been doing lately, genealogically speaking?
Mainly trying to do a lot of updating of my wiki years ago. Still trying to catch up with, because I had such a lot I did, and watching and interacting with others on Zoom calls and things. I belong to the Society of Genealogists. They do a lot, and some of those I can access for free. And also, I belong to a thing with Family Historian that again has lots of Zoom sessions. So a lot of education and catching up with things. Even this morning.
Good. Yes, with Melinda talking about SLIG, which for the newbies joining us on the YouTube side, that is Salt Lake Institute of Genealogy, which was virtual. Anytime you can get into an institute course, it's where the instructor leads you down the garden path. No, that has a negative connotation. It's an instructor-led learning situation. We don't know what we don't know. And when you can get into a good educational institute multi-week. That's pretty darn good, especially when we're learning about the historical context. All right, thank you, Hillary. And Ellen, our visitor, permanent panelist, and also a panelist on the book club, our gal from Canada. What have you been doing lately genealogically? I know about a conundrum about parents for one of your ancestors.
Oh, okay. First of all, I have to say to Randy, I'm not worthy. 20 blog posts, wow.
Oh, I know.
But I have, where I am currently living, I teach a class on genealogy. So I'm preparing my lesson about DNA, advanced DNA. And,
Yes.
and yeah, that's basically what I'm doing. That and work on some cases.
So some DNA is good. I just saw Daniel from Ireland, and I must have clicked it wrong because instead of him coming up, he's gone. I hope if he's on the YouTube side, he'll come back. Well, Myrt just probably clicked in the wrong place. So I want to hear what he's doing. But let's see what the community has to say, and then I'll tell you more about what we're going to talk about. Karen said, glad to hear others work on more than one project at a time. One for me and one for a friend. So, like Frank, she's keeping busy. Hi, Betty Lou from Arkansas. Oh, I don't know. We're going to have to move to like Argentina or something to get warm. Wait, that's pretty far south of the equator. I don't know. Hi, Bev, up there in Victoria, just a short boat ride. If I had a boat, I'd come visit. Hi, Dan. Oh, he's hanging out with family today because it's a holiday in Canada. It happens to be a holiday here too. We're going to talk about it in a minute. Miss you, Dan. Carolyn, cold and windy in Massachusetts. And Bobby's here from Granite Bay. And Valerie, yes. Overtime on the furnace. Yeah. Here's Linda from Cincy, 18 degrees. I'll have to tell Mr. Myrt, his sister still lives in Cincy. Over on about the 3 o'clock side of that beltway that goes around your wonderful city. Good morning. Hi. Dixon, Tennessee. Gwynnie's here. Yeah. Oh, golly. Good morning from Richmond. Thank you. Golly, all kinds of people here. Hi, Marcia. It's getting colder across those plain states, isn't it? Wet and soggy. There's my John. Thank you for being here today. Yeah, I think we have most of the comments. And there's Deneen, one of our book club panelists. She's relaxing because she's going to be on the hot seat during book club, which, by the way, book club occurs 15 minutes after Mondays with Myrt concludes. Then I collapse for the rest of the day. No, it's pretty good. Let's see. Oh, so your ancestor was not a bigamist.
Strictly speaking, you'd think if he's already married, he'd be a bigamist. But I went to a married thing about bigamy talk by one of the experts, and because it wasn't in England, because it was outside of England, it wasn't legally classed as bigamy, even though
it was.
She ended up having to have a license to get applying for a license so she could get married to somebody else. So
okay, I've got my Daniel back. As soon as he turns on his webcam, we'll pull him up. Thank you. I'm glad to know things are okay between England and the Channel Islands. And Paula, thank you yesterday for coming to the Substack Live that I did with our special guest today, Barbara. I got to find out more about the difference between a Substack post and a Substack note. I now know what a Substack Live is because I got to do one yesterday. Anyway, Danielle, I'm so sorry that I pushed you out. I must have clicked something funny. Do you want to unmute yourself and let us know what you've been doing lately, genealogically speaking. He's our guy from Ireland.
First thing I will say is I'm not sure how well your end, because it's quite so I had to completely redo.
You're fading in and out. I wonder what's going on. You normally have excellent internet. I don't know. You could type it in the chat, okay?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that works fine. That's what we do with Ellen when she has trouble with her internet. We mute the webcam. Is that possible? Yeah. Okay, what you been doing?
He's muted.
There you are.
I'm not sure if you can hear me that well, but
Yes. No, not working.
Yeah.
Mark. Okay. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about what we're doing today. Okay. So, first of all, I really need to say this every week, that everyone is welcome here at Mondays with Myrt. And years ago, I made this collage. I know that it's expired, the International Decade for People of African Descent, which was an initiative from the United Nations. But I still love that graphic where it's got old and young and people of different skin tones and different levels of understanding of technology. We're here, and we hope that you will feel comfortable asking questions in the chat. I mean, we're discussing our favorite topic, genealogy. In just a few moments, we're going to be speaking with Barbara, the admitted ringmaster at ProjectKin community over on SubStack. This is the SubStack logo. So when you see it, that's what that orange and white stripy thing is all about. And I'm learning a lot from Daniel and Dan and Barbara. Remember, next time we meet, which is the 3rd of March, I'll be up here at the Family Search Library. I think this is the 3rd floor. It doesn't look like it, but the 1st floor is really tall. I will be in the Glass Enclosed Nerve Center, 3rd floor conference room, which is across from the elevators. So if you are coming to Salt Lake a little bit early for Roots Tech, which starts Thursday, later that week, join us. Now, it's still going to be noon Eastern for all of you who are going to be watching virtually. We will go live at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Mr. Myrt will be outside the conference room door with a clipboard, so that I'll be sure he'll write your name down, and I'll bring in groups of 3 or 4, or whoever is able to show up. And we'll see what it is you're doing, hanging out in the Family Search Library. What conundrums you plan to solve. Okay, let's see, what else are we doing? A little bit later, the photo detective will join us, Maureen Taylor. She hasn't arrived yet, but by design, she will in fact be here. And as I mentioned, book club will occur 15 minutes after Mondays with Myrt concludes. In fact, Randy, would you share the homework link from our Google Sheet, the docket we use to keep track of all this? If you wanted to download the PDF, he'll give you that link. It's up on my Google Drive. We are tackling 2 chapters for Mastering Genealogical Proof. I printed them out, and it has to do with assembling evidence from multiple sources and trying to begin to prepare for chapter 7 next time, which is the written conclusion. But anyway, okay, I think that's about it. And let us have the panelists go to the wings, and we will bring Barbara up, and you and I will have a talk. Barbara, how are you? Seems like just yesterday we were talking one with another.
It does feel like yesterday, doesn't it? It was a
Yes.
delight to have you on our little fledgling ProjectKin live series. We just started this in January out of a new feature in Substack. So you're a pro. It was lovely having you.
Right. Well, we talked about the orientation that you all have, and that I agree, actually everyone on the panel agrees with, is the importance of telling the stories of our lives, our ancestors' lives, as opposed to just being a collector of names and dates. And what is ProjectKin? Do you want to share your screen yet, or do you want to talk first?
Not yet.
Okay.
Let me give a little intro to what ProjectKin is all about first, and then I'll go through because I'll use the ProjectKin and Substack as an example as I go through that. So to the point about the names and dates and that sort of focus of genealogy, to my view, I see that, well, first of all, I see myself as an amateur family historian. And that started me thinking really about this continuum view of family history to genealogy. And it's almost like an expertise level, but really it's almost like the difference between design and engineering. On one hand, I see genealogy as being like engineering and math. There are facts. It's either true or it's not true. There may be clarity that you learn over time about truth is, were they or were they not married? And then there is design, which is more in the creative expression way to tell a story. And then you go off to the continuum where you have historical fiction and then straight up fiction, right?
Yeah.
So to my view, as a family historian, in this case, I am extremely lucky to personally have inherited extraordinary genealogical work that was done the old-fashioned way by my grandmother. Her husband was an amateur photographer who, from whom I inherited an incredible wealth of photographs, some of which you see in my background here. And then her mother and her mother-in-law were both genealogists as well, within the documentation threads of the Daughters of the American Revolution. So there's a lot of paper as the work done. I didn't, unfortunately, inherit the paperwork, but that may still be coming. So that was the background for me. So my focus has been very much on the stories and then realizing that others haven't had that opportunity. So I've been on a mission to help people get their stories told. And you know what? In any way possible. Because today, I like to think of this as practically the golden age of storytelling. We have so many forms of storytelling open to us today.
Yep.
Platforms, yes. And then platforms takes me to the whole larger context of, well, platforms. I've been in technology and most recently a startup founder for about a dozen years now as a founder myself. And in that time, yeah, I've made the decisions on handling and even bringing down a platform. It's tough. And you do learn a perspective about platforms. My focus with ProjectKin is entirely a not-for-profit, and it is platform independent. I don't take sponsorships or affiliates or anything. I keep my costs as absolutely screamingly as low as possible, and I accept a few contributions to help to those operation costs. So that's what we do and who I am.
Well, that basically is the same business model I have. I mean, because it's definitely a business, whether you're having a revenue stream or not. Where I got to know you was I asked Dan and Daniel, two of my panelists, who the heck is this Barbara at ProjectKin? What's her angle? And they said, don't worry, Myrt, she's okay. And as I said yesterday, any friend of Daniel's and Dan's is a friend of mine. I like that. Oh, I got to tell you, getting feedback from the community already. When he met you virtually at the West Coast version of About That Place, UK, and you did your chat. You had a chat after the video, and That's cool. So you've got followers here that we have in common. You know, here's my followers, here's your followers, probably a bigger circle, who knows. But they overlap because that's the thing. Telling the story overlaps with being diligent in climbing our paper trail family tree and our DNA family tree, because you want to know the push factors and the pull factors. What caused some of Hillary's cousins, ancestral cousins, to come to America? I don't know, but she can figure these things out when we discuss and learn about the context. Now, are we ready? I would like you to turn this conversation to Substack for a reason.
Sure.
And I'm going to bring up your screen in a moment. And I'm going to tell you folks, just this morning, I woke up at 6 o'clock. I was getting all kinds of little text messages. Usually Sunday night, I keep my cell phone on low as opposed to turning off text messages. And I was getting messages, two different types, that Facebook was going to turn off my page for copyright infringement. And another one and it was not the Dear Myrtle, it was my Myrt's journal, which is a very tiny little page for the journals that I craft. And the second one came, and suddenly my name, Patricia, was spelled with a lot of extra C's and Z's and J's, not even close. And when you do a mouse roll over and you see where these things are from, it was not Facebook. We're targets when we can't, when there is no one to help us. And I've noticed that over on Substack, there's a lot of nice people there. There's a lot of people that I happen to agree with politically who used to work for major newspapers who have set up a Substack, and they publish, and for you to read the whole story, you need to subscribe for not very much money per year. But by the time they have multiple people, subscribing, that's okay. That's the way they're using Substack. But that's not the way you use it. And it's not the way I'm thinking of using it, even more urgently with the incursions I've had with spammers on Facebook. Thank you, Randy, for posting a couple of links. I'm going to share your screen now, Barbara.
Sure.
And I'm going to make it full screen so that people out there, even on their laptops, can see this. So we are at the home page, I see. Take it away.
Yes.
Kind of give me the layout here.
Sure. You asked me two questions ahead of time, and I want to make sure that I cover those as we go through this. This is not my own account. This is a little fake account, so don't waste your time following her.
Okay.
My virtual person I keep around so that I can understand what things look like for others. When I always start explanations about Substack by setting up a context for it. And I think this is honestly important for any platform when you look at it. Substack started as a newsletter with the idea being that from any site you could go in and look for drop an email address and be able to subscribe. So here I'm going to go to Dear Myrt. Oops,
okay.
Let's do that. Right, you have your Dear Myrt Substack, right?
Yeah.
So here you are at. I'm going to Dear Myrt. Oh, good.
Okay.
This is exactly the same account as I have with my fake person here. So here is your account. Notice the substack.com at Dear Myrt. And I could just in this case, she has she is already logged in. See her name over here, Malia?
Yeah.
She's already logged in. And if I just hit subscribe, boom, I'm subscribed. What does being subscribed mean? It means I will get your posts. Then it walks through and says, do you want to send money? And I'm new. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
I don't want you to pay
Do
me
I want to subscribe
150
to
a year.
everything? No, it's okay. Do you want to, but you see, this is the default. You did not
Mhm.
configure any of this. You had some
Yeah.
toggles in there as to whether allow or not, but basically this is the default. And I actually, these are interesting because, ooh, look what you do. Actually, I'm going to also subscribe to you, to
So
those.
I
Do I
know
want to
both of
recommend,
those people. I know
because
Jen
they're
and
people, that's right. Those are both people that you are already recommending. Oops,
I have
one cycle.
recommended Daniel but I didn't know that what it looked like from an end
I'm catching
user's
up.
point of view.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Right. You're welcome. And now, do I want to recommend? I would hit this now, but this is a fake person, and I don't
I
want to
get
keep
it.
it. It will just fumble that going on.
For
But
demonstration purposes.
anytime, for demonstration purposes only,
Mhm.
as a publication host, essentially, I love that they're doing the hard part of asking for the money for me. Because nobody likes asking for the money or asking for the recommendation, asking for the subscription. All of those things are hard to do. They're going to do it for you. They're also going to do the recommendation engine for you. And at scale, I'm going to skip this for now because, as I said, I don't want to be encouraging this. It's even saying, hey, you just described. Why don't you tell everybody else why you subscribed? Which is really nice.
Share the
Again, forgive
story.
me. I'm not going to do this now because it's just going to slow me down.
So
But
let me
and this is
interject
not a
from the
real person.
community. Let me just interject that Paula, who watched us yesterday, said she started blogging last week on Substack. And thank you to Randy for posting on my behalf. He has shared the link to projectkin.org as well as projectkin.substack.com.
I'll explain that.
So that
Yeah.
they can
Let me explain why I do that. I know many of you are also have WordPress sites and other kinds of things with custom domains. You
Yes.
will know that a custom domain like projectkin.org is just super useful. It's super useful because people don't have to remember anything else. It takes me out of the business of explaining Substack from the beginning, and it lets them remember one thing. So that's why I do it. It's also, by the way, to clarify that it's a .org, I put that into my .gmail, my @gmail account, because I don't spend money on the I don't spend money anywhere I possibly don't have to. So I do that, and then I use Canva as my host, which is just the money for the registration. The rest is free, which is kind of breathtaking, as part of my account. And then it does a redirect all over the place. So I use those to make it really easy to find things. But projectkin.org, you'll click a button to what I call the forum, which is what I'm using Substack for within ProjectKin, because I also host events, as you do. I host events using Zoom and then share the recordings. So I'll come back to that, but first let me finish the thought here for the example of Dear Myrtle. You have an account where you are posting. You do not, unless you're doing it with some other account, you do not have a publication. So I'm going to show you from, again, I'm still in this Malia account. If I go to substack.com/@projectkin, I am looking at the account for the person who is ProjectKin. That's that ringleader, Barbara at Ponga, ProjectKin. Whoa, Freudian slip there. And notice this time there is a publication. So this is a publication. On yours, there is no publication, but I can subscribe and you can write posts. You have not written a post. You have, however, written many notes. Okay. So these, under the name Dear Myrtle, has written notes. You've written and you've restacked notes from others. So
By the
this one
way,
is a note yourself, and this one is Maureen's you restacked, and Maureen will be, is that what you're going to say?
she is in the building. And we'll be talking to her next.
Okay. There you go. And you know what? I think there are, I mean, this is a little secret goal for me. For Project Kin, here I am all about telling stories. I knew I was, like Daniel, out here digging and homesteading, so to speak, in the land of Substack. And in fact, I have been a fond follower of Daniel since day one. And he took me to Podia, he took me to Pebble, he took me to all over the place.
Well,
In finding
that's the thing.
right.
People have been since the bird place, changed its name and etc. We have all not everybody, but a lot of us have been experimenting with other platforms that would take the place of Twitter.
Right.
And some of them Daniel has introduced to me as well. He's back in. I don't know how his internet is, but anyway, I see him in the wings here. And the thing is, let me just pause with what we're saying right now. This dear Myrtle making these little notes is like Pat Richley Erickson making notes or posts over on Facebook. Whereas the community of Dear Myrtle over on Facebook, where people join that and follow it, well, you don't follow it, they request to join, and I only have about 6,500 people because I purposely look in great detail at their profile page, and if they don't mention genealogy at all, and they've made a post in October of 23 and something in 2020, I'm not letting them in the door. That cries spammer to me. And
Yep.
I've learned that
Yep.
over the years. So am I
Yep.
correct in that this is like me, the person? And can I continue like this what's the difference between doing a note and a post from the end user? Will they still find it if it's only
They will
a note?
still. So a note is never emailed, and a post
Oh.
is emailed or optionally emailed. That's a great way to think about it. So here I am at Project Kin. I showed you what my publication is, and then my activity, like yours. So here I was posting our live session yesterday.
Yes.
I was promoting this, and then I talked about posts of others. I occasionally have posts that are just things that I notice that people will be interested in, a little bit like a Twitter or something like that.
Of
Then
course.
I also, core to my work with Project Kin are, posts. A lot of my posts are video posts because a lot of the activity for Project Kin is events that are often others. Very rarely are they actually me, but sometimes. And they are events that we have. It's what's coming. It's what we did. I try to be careful not to over email. So it's like a newsletter in that sense. I try to email not more than 3 times in a week. We'll talk a little bit about Roots Tech. And then all of the posts that I email out, I also configure on what Substack internally refers to as your website, which is a little bit confusing, but I'm now switched accounts. I'm now in my own Project Kin account. Actually, let's not do that. Sorry. We'll go back to that. Let's just click here to go to the publication. So all of those emailed out posts then appear in your publication. Your publication is arranged a lot like a WordPress page. These are different posts.
I
Each
see
of
that.
these were probably emailed out. These that were videos. Notice that when you mouse over them, they do fancy things like animate. And this will just go all the way through silently playing, not playing live. And these, by the way, mentioned the Pacific edition of All About That Place. I did this because I found the One Place Studies 2023 All About That Place series, and I was frankly just smitten. I just loved it. And I'm like, why aren't we doing this? So I knocked on the door over there at my friends at the Society of Genealogists, and I said, please, what about the Pacific? You have your 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., but 8 a.m. is midnight. Come on, man. So why can't we do something over here? So it turns out California is right kind of between, we're on the edge of the continent, but, we reach both directions very easily, as you and I have discussed. So that's what led to this. Yeah.
All right. Let me just pause, because you're working on explaining for Kathleen and me what's the difference between a publication. And we know the difference between a note and a post, that a note doesn't go to my subscribers in email.
Correct.
Okay, now we want to know what's the difference between a post and a publication. Notes don't go in the publication automatically, right?
No, but they often appear here, for example. They can be readily placed in a tab that would appear in the publication. So this is my same list of notes that appear. This is the publication. So the difference between a publication and a post is a piece of publication. Many posts will appear in one publication.
Okay, but not my notes. Just my posts.
Your notes simply, that's correct. That's correct.
Okay, I'm taking notes and clicking around with these comments. So here's the next question. Do I imagine using Substack as a replacement for Facebook? I'm going to say groups, like Dear Myrtle's group on Facebook, and possibly pages, because Facebook pages are more business oriented. But do you see this option of, I do have a Dear Myrtle persona on Substack, but I don't have a publication, and the publication could take the replacement of my Facebook Dear Myrtle group?
I do very much so. I mean, when you look at the groups on Facebook, first of all, there are many groups with tens of thousands of members in the groups. On the other hand, if you look at the activity level, it's not indicative of that many people. There are a lot of inactive people, for starters. Second, you have all of the overhead of Facebook itself. Personally, with the changes that Facebook made Mark Zuckerberg made the company as a whole, for Meta as a whole, I simply decided I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm just not. I'm not posting to Twitter. I'm not posting to Meta. So I then set out to, what can I do to help people get out of Meta? How can I help other people? And I talk about under the social tab. I don't need to go into that here, but under the social tab, I explain what and why. And I try really hard, by the way, to separate my political perspectives from what I present here. I'm not shy about being clear about it, but I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable with what they're doing here. And that's kind of where I draw the line for separating it. So I'll put that over there. With respect
to more questions,
the group part, though,
I don't want to pass by the fact, one of the things that happens here on Mondays with Myrt is we get a lot of comments and participation from the YouTube side. And Karen has a good question. For instance, we know that on X, we had a limited size of characters for a post or whatever you call it. Is there a difference in size limit between a post and a note? I haven't hit one on note yet.
I haven't hit one either. Now, in a post, it will tell you that your post has exceeded the limit of an email, and that is a SMTP email limitation. There's only so long an email can be. And when you exceed that, it just says that you've exceeded that. So someone reading it, say on an airplane, who has downloaded their email, will get to the bottom of it and won't be able to click through to keep reading the rest of it, because they're offline now.
Yeah.
On the
Okay.
other hand, most people today, that's not a limitation most of the time, and it just keeps on going. They're not interrupted. They also do some elegant things with respect to video. I use video all the time, as you can see in these posts. The limit for video is that you can upload into one post only up to 20 gigs of video. And an hour, 90 minutes of video is maybe a gig and a half. So I don't even know how someone could get a 20 gig video post short of 4K. So I've never really been limited at all.
All right. Kathleen here has commented, and I have too been looking for a place. And it takes a lot for me to decide to tell my people, this is where I'm going. And that's why almost painstakingly, we discuss this every week. Daniel is saying, because we're not sure of his internet, not hit a limit for him either when writing posts, apart from what Barbara mentioned about the email limitations. But one thing that bugs me is it cannot go into, I don't think, it can go into a news aggregating service like Feedly. Can it? It has to
I haven't
have.
tried. What does Feedly require? I mean, I have a Feedly account. I just haven't tried.
Yeah, and mine, the one that works on this computer is already
Oh,
at
there we go.
1,000.
Daniel says it can.
It can.
Oh,
Okay, now I'm getting very
because it's using
close.
email.
I'm getting very close to, it's an RSS feed that you basically type in ProjectKin in Feedly and see if it comes up. Okay, Daniel, this is significant because I am not interested in sending email to people. I started following some journalists from formerly famous and used to be trustworthy newspapers, and I am getting inundated by all their posts every day. And I have to go through and make rules so that it goes in a folder. Of course, I read them anyway, but still, it's a mess. I don't like sending email to people. But if I can send it to, okay, this is what we do. So if it was projectkin.org/feed, then Feedly goes to look for exactly that. That's actually kind of technical, and we don't have to do it that way. What you're showing in the background, that scares people. Let me go to my Feedly. I'll remove somebody. And log in. Boy, I hope this remembers my password.
Actually, SubStack, I don't want to go through all the configurations in SubStack, but because of video and audio posts, both of which are supported,
yes,
they have implemented an integration for RSS for podcast platforms.
Oh, yeah, they can get the RSS.
That's how they're getting the RSS.
Right.
So
exactly.
in my publication, I've been reluctant to turn on the podcasting elements for integration of all these videos that I do with, podcasting platforms. It was just a new thing I was not familiar with, and I'm trying to do one thing at a time. Things that scare me, yes, but one thing that scares me at a time. And for Feedly reasons, that's a really good idea. And I will go explore that myself. But yeah, that integration to podcasts, they added an integration with YouTube, which is extraordinary. Every video I take, even the one we did yesterday, hit a button. Actually, I have already just configured it. So when I post it to Substack, it's automatically posting to YouTube as well, which is nice.
I have something to share. I need to show this.
Sure,
Just a second.
take me off.
Because this is very real. And let's see, what are we looking at? We want this one. So we are looking at my Feedly. Let me turn Daniel's comment off. Feedly, I've got, let me zoom in so you can see it. Oh, geez. Well, I could do it with with my keyboard. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of genealogy things I haven't read yet today. But I clicked here on the side where it has a little plus sign next to that
Yeah.
distribution thing. Follow websites, Reddit, blogs, newsletters, and more. Over here, I type ProjectKin.
Mm-hmm.
And if I click this, I can pull it in. And I get to decide where I want to put it on the page. Oh, don't give me this stuff. Anyway, that's how you
I'll
use.
definitely play with that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll play with that. And great example. I would do a post about how I did that with ProjectKin and can do that with any other Substack, which, if you don't mind a little, if I may do a little plug, I know this has been going on for a while here, but one of the things I'm trying to do is to really encourage more family historians on Substack. I am delighted to help you bring your group over if you decide you want to do that. And frankly, I think it's you don't just slap it over. You got to be careful to make sure
I
everybody
know. Yeah,
knows
I'm
what to
aware.
expect and all of those steps. I've done that with Daniel's hints, brought my community over into Podia and then from Podia over into Substack. So I appreciate the complexity of doing that.
All right. So we've
But
got.
I'm trying to grow the group in Substack. So I started another Substack called Mission Genealogy, specifically to help people with the steps of Substack, as distinct from what I'm doing with ProjectKin.
All right. Daniel and Randy have made some pretty significant things, posts. And Randy, talk to me about your question. You must have muted yourself. Can't hear you, dear.
I'm sorry, I was muted.
Okay.
So I've used Google Blogger for 19 years, and consequently, I think that all of my posts can still be found by other people. 17,000 blog posts about my ancestry, basically. And that's why I use Blogger. Okay. I highlight them on Facebook. I used to highlight them on Twitter, but I don't now. And occasionally on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
So that's my social media world at this point in time. And I've started adding bloggers on Substack into my Feedly, so I don't miss their posts as long as they aren't under a subscription, So that's where I am, and I'm probably too old to change much at this point. But the main reason was that Google, finds my stuff, and AI agents find my stuff.
So this is like what Barbara was talking about, that you can have a WordPress or a blogger site, and you know how you occasionally put it over there on Facebook, or sometimes well, you always do on Facebook, but sometimes on Blue Sky. Just do it on. Can we import RSS feeds over on Substack? I don't think so. I think you have to actually manually go there and do it.
You want to be automating post appearances into Substack? Is that what you mean? Not that I'm aware of a way to do that. You can take a previous site and import that into Substack.
The whole thing.
A whole thing.
But not.
It's not really designed, and I think they've avoided doing that in, for example, Notes, for turning it into all of the social media post automation tools. They're trying to keep Notes to be organically Substack, which I think frankly is wise. it helps to keep the rest of the nonsense out of there.
And okay, but so it's like when you go to Facebook to post that you've done a post, Randy, you just go to Substack once we get it set up. And Barbara is willing to help us if we decide to do this sort of thing. And it was so odd that just today I had these two horrible incursions, which are continuing to push me. And I'm being very reticent, you notice. I don't push people around. I'll go experimenting with Daniel. And he does a lot of work figuring things out on all these different platforms. And, but if we're going to make a move, or if Myrt's going to make a move, I am like 87.5% ready at this point. And that's significant because I don't want to jerk my people around. Daniel, you said something way back here and I can't remember what it was.
Well, I'm hoping I can actually sound coherent this time with internet.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a start. If you can hear me, then that's a good start.
It's a good thing.
But, no, it was sort of going back to Randy's comment about discoverability with Substack. And honestly, one of the things is when you Google my name is my Substack blog. So it's not as if it's kind of hidden away or sort of is quite hard to find. It is quite easy to find. Which is obviously a benefit if Randy per se was wanting to kind of, I suppose, get out there on Substack and have, his blogs be found. It's a good way. But as I was also saying, with feeds, whatever the Substack is, so like, for example, Frank stuck up the link to Barbara's other one, and if you did into Feedly, missiongenealogy.substack.com/feed and put that into Feedly, then in theory it should give you a direct feed, like it'll bring in all of Barbara's posts from that publication should you want them. So yeah, you don't, and also with the AI side of things, because I know Randy did mention that as well, there is an option to turn off AI indexing if you don't want your blog posts indexed or kind of fed into AI. But if you do, you just obviously leave it ticked on saying, yes, I do want this for my publication, but it's entirely up to your own decision.
I get it. I know I keep interrupting you, but what's happening here, Barbara, is very unusual. People are thinking now. For instance, Kathleen is saying, could you use this as a genealogy Facebook type of media space? Is it user friendly enough for older folks? And I want to say this, Kathleen. Here's what if I were to go 100%, I would have little short training videos for each part. Including if I start doing posts so I can have that kind of magazine looking thing, I would even make a post to show you how to remove my stuff automatically from email if you don't want to get flooded with email. I mean, I would be that specific. And Barbara's already done thinking that I haven't even begun to do. I'm just trying to look at it. First, I looked at it from my point of view as far as how viable is this kind of a platform? I didn't get excited, but I mean, I like Blue Sky, but I didn't. This is getting to me, and I can see it's resonating with some pretty big hitters that are here watching. Paula's saying we need to gain an online presence. Somebody else got a bogus message that the Facebook page is being taken down. Yeah, this is just horrible. Yes, thanks for the link, Frank. It takes a village. One thing I would not change yet is being able to use StreamYard and having it go to YouTube so y'all can watch it for free. Remember, I'm looking for very viable platforms. But that being said, when Mr. Myrt was going through his chemo and I couldn't watch and respond to reports from my nemesis in Germany, everyone in Germany is fine, but this one guy is not very nice. And he always turns in my posts or my YouTube videos where we talk about a death certificate because it has the word death in it. And Daniel knows that because I was busy with Mr. Myrt, YouTube took down over 1,300 video files. Most of them were these 90-minute Mondays with Myrt or the 1-hour deep dive Wacky Wednesdays that we did, and all the study group things. And I'm gradually, slowly releasing them. So even YouTube isn't perfect, but I can't stream from StreamYard that I know of. It's not available yet directly to Substack because I've done research on it. Plus, but that's okay. This still works. But the other stuff at Facebook is not working for me and a number of other people on my panel and here who are attending. And Barbara, you are being a cause in the matter of providing you and Daniel and Dan, but a solution that we're moving it up to about 93% for me that I'm ready to move. Randy doesn't have to change where he blogs. He just changes where he puts his notice. Not on Facebook. Probably for a while, should put it on Facebook. But anyway, where are we? We have been talking for a long time. I know that we haven't talked about everything you have to share, Barbara. But what you have done for us is to inspire us. And okay, one tiny thing. You get to have the last word.
The one tiny thing is to realize these are early days. And in particular, early days, I think early days for genealogy on Substack, because I mean, I'm trying with mission genealogy and I love the idea of little blips, and we'll talk more about that separately. But if you look at this home screen I'm sharing right here, on this home screen, there are these categories up at the top, which are topical areas. You click that and you see every post that is in that topic. And you can share it later, whatever. There's not yet a category for genealogy. I am confident now, for a bunch of reasons, that there will be. When there is, it'll be so much easier to find each other as a community in Substack. That's what I'm preparing for. And that's in addition to all the SEO search and all that kind of stuff and what we're doing now as a community. I think that's going to be transformative. So,
and you know what? That doesn't bother me. That honestly does not bother me. I mean, it would be nice to have it right there. When I registered my interest, I looked at history, and then I looked at different types of history that are below that are in that, once you're in that category. I looked at education. I looked at technology and picked things that had to do with like preservation, things like that. Cindy's already ready. If you're moving from Facebook, I'm in. And Cindy, believe me, if we make this move, you and I will have step-by-step short subject videos in a playlist, so it's very easy to figure this out. Yes, I know Connie Knox had the same thing happen to her videos. And she does such a good job and has 100,000 subscribers. It's just, it's AI algorithms gone bad, is basically what it is. Becky says, I haven't had time to figure out Substack yet. I sometimes get confused on what I'm supposed to be doing. We're going to, if we actually make this move, we'll make it easy for you. And Mama Barbara is going to guide us through it. All right. We need to switch gears. Thank you, Barbara. I know we could talk to you for 42 hours because what you have is very important. And what you've done today has been a huge paradigm shift in my mind, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Let's see. Let's have the other panelists go to the wings. Barbara, you are totally welcome to stay with us and watch what else we do today. I don't know what your schedule's like. The time you have spent with us has been so valuable, I can't tell you. I'm going to get ready to talk with Maureen shortly. But before we do, I want to talk with you all about L sleeves. Now, Barbara, you're just going to be in the wings until you decide to go. So you've always been taught as beginning genealogists to use top-loading sheet protectors, not unlike this from Office Depot or Max or whatever it is, where you've got this, you put a document in here, and let's pull Frank up because he has an opinion here. Frank, what happens? Let's see, where is he? There, he's coming up. He may have stepped away. Anyway, there are problems with this. They're oversized, but in my experience, of course, I have been doing genealogy for a while. All of the photocopies I made at the National Archives of the U.S. on Pennsylvania Avenue, the researcher's entrance, all of those early census record printouts have disintegrated by sticking to this plastic, even though it said it was archivally safe. And I know Maureen, the photo detective, has opinions as well. Well, what I want to suggest to you is something that the archive lady told us. And I'm not sure where that link is. Here it is. I'm going to pull it up and share that screen. 1 second. I want to talk to you about L sleeves and about Gaylord archival. And I think I can share my screen. Gaylord archival is one of the places here in the US, and I know that you have similar things in other countries that offer truly archival material. There's something called the PAT test that the archive lady, Melissa Lemaster Barker, taught us. And L sleeves are like this. Switch positions here, camera. I received this card. Let me try to do this. I think I can do it just one person. An L sleeve is closed on two sides and open on two sides. But I put this in here last night. It doesn't slip around. This side, this part that's now on the bottom is open, as is this side. And it does not slip around. If I had a photo in this, would be fine. If I put the same card in here and turn it upside down to the open side, it will slip out. If I had a photo here, and I love this little card from my cousin, and I wanted to put a little card here that described who was in the photo, and this was the original photo from 1893 or something like that. In this kind of a top-loading sheet protector, things would be slipping around.
Yeah.
And you've seen that in your own work. That's why they made those horrible kind of photo books. We ought to bring Maureen up here. Let me pull you up too, Maureen. Yeah, she's the photo detective. What's wrong with that concept of let's have gluey, sticky stuff on the back to hold the photo and the comment card in place. What was bad about that? Tell us.
Oh, well, you don't want to stick anything to your photographs or your documents or anything to hold them in the paper because it'll cause deterioration.
Yep.
I would like to see I haven't tried one of those sleeves with a photograph, with a thick photograph to see if it moves around.
Yeah.
I know it works really well with documents.
Yeah, because they're thinner, but that's why I use this card. That's pretty thick card.
And that works.
Yeah, so it worked. It's about the thickness of Polaroid.
You don't want anything to slip out. I mean, that can happen with just the top loaders too.
Exactly. So Frank also, he works at an archives, a city archives in Germany. And this is Maureen Taylor, Frank, the photo detective. She's here to talk to us about another situation. So an L sleeve that we're looking at, let me get this up on the screen again. They come in different sizes. Has somebody shared the link on the YouTube side? What I do is I subscribe to Gaylord Archival, and that's where I get my Metal Edge Hollinger boxes. And I wait till things are on sale. Here's why the ones with the holes punched on the side, it disintegrates. Even heavyweight page protectors, there can be problems. It looks like it would be easier to see as well. You can pay for more expensive top-loading sheet protectors, but I really, it took me a while to actually listen to the archive lady and say, because it didn't make sense to me why this was good if two sides were open, but it just stays in there electrostatically. Look, it's just not falling out.
I wouldn't put a flaking tin type in there.
So say again,
Maureen. I wouldn't put a tin type that has flaking. I wouldn't put that in there.
No, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, because the static will further pull away.
Pull it apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, my hope is that people will be more aware of what's going on in the way of preserving the unusual things that we have. That's not the purpose of my having Maureen here, though. Frank, you have most of your collection not yet digitized. It's at City Archives. We've talked about
exactly
the building. You've got all the plans for buildings in the city and things like that. How do you keep things filed?
Actually, in an Excel chart.
Okay, tell me what that is.
We simply have a list in Excel where we simply number down every file that we have in the
Excel worksheet. Okay.
In our archive, which is held in big file cabinets, very big ones for so we can hold a whole plan laid flat in there. Which
we call those big file drawers that are like this tall and 3 feet wide, or we call them map cases.
We too.
Oh, you do too.
Just the German equivalent.
Yes. Okay. All right.
For example, we have, let me think, I think 15 or 20 of these.
Wow. And the way that you get to them, the flat files, Becky's reminding me, they're also called flat files. Yeah.
While our we also have bound files for normal paperworks that our ancestors in the field did before. These are bound and placed in Hollister boxes.
Hollinger boxes, those metal edge boxes.
Yep.
You know, I was pretty excited. I was buying these vertical Hollinger boxes because I was used to doing normal on-site research where the land entry files were folded and or some of the carded medical records were folded and placed upright in these. And now I've basically donated a lot of those, and I'm working on getting the flat horizontal ones so that it's less stress on the paper in a Hollinger box that's not full. Let's see. Okay, so Tony's here, but that's a different topic. Okay, I'm trying to watch the comments here, too. All right, so we are, I really do want to talk with Maureen about the reason I invited her. Maureen, thank you so much for joining me today. I know you had a busy schedule this morning. We have a challenge, and I first became aware of it from you. Talk to me about what's happened. Excuse me, I'm getting all choked up about it. What's going on with Memory Web?
Okay, so Memory Web, the company, like the brand, is staying around, but they are ending their photo organizing platform. So they've shifted. They've pivoted their business. They have a new app called Photo Flips, which is based on one of the elements of the platform that we all used and loved. Memory Web did a great job with metadata. You could upload a photo and you could see the metadata. You could add metadata. It was all super simple.
Yeah.
But now we have to download our images. We have to export them from Memory Web. And, you know, I was chair of the SaveMetadata.org group for 3 years. We worked really hard to develop some industry standards. There's a lot of
ISO standards. Wow.
There's no standards. There's a lot of metadata fields, and the ones that Memory Web used are not necessarily the ones that other platforms use. So I am testing and making short videos that I'm posting on my YouTube channel under Photo Detective, of course, about, I have this one test file from Memory Web, and I upload it to all the different platforms to see what gets read and what doesn't get read. And it's surprising on some of these platforms that nothing gets read or virtually nothing other than the description. So then in that case, I mean, the reason Save Metadata and the group at Save Metadata was working really, really hard to try to push the industry to adapt some sort of standard is so the four key things with metadata: read it, write it, edit it, export it. So does the platform read your existing metadata? Can you add new metadata? Can you edit your metadata? And then does it all export? Now, when you export your photos from Memory Web, the metadata you entered is there. It's there. So right now, the best way to read all your metadata is with Vivipix Restore, which is not a photo organizer, but they have metadata and they use the same fields. So when
first of all, I'm going to take people, I'm showing them your YouTube channel.
Yes.
Which I'm on a different screen.
I
had to unsubscribe so that I could remind people how to subscribe. Okay, and I've shared the link with the group, just like we shared Barbara's various links. So that, and I go and demonstrate this so that people get brand recognition and know it's a safe place to go. That was one thing Cousin Russ and I always tried to do, was we'd go test things out on a dummy computer of ours, not a regular one, to see if it was safe. This is Maureen's YouTube channel. You're
Yeah.
going to want to hit that subscribe button, but then click the bell and click all so that you will get everything she posts, particularly for the next little while.
Yes.
When she's talking about this problem. It would be nice too if you guys subscribe to Dear Myrtle's channel, the Dear Myrtle Archive, which Daniel set up for me. Thank you, Daniel. Anyway, secondly, we need to get the link to, I think it's already in our docket. Can you find it there? But no, we need to get the link to the company you recommend as the place for people to move their photos.
Right. No, they can't move them to Vivipix Restore. Vivipix Restore is just a photo enhancement improvement software. I am looking at all the platforms. So far, I've looked at Forever, Flickr, what else? I think I've looked at Mylio. Mylio is a good contender. Retesting everything. I have a tutorial with someone on Bridge, Adobe Bridge tomorrow, because it wasn't reading all the metadata.
Yeah, wasn't it in the olden days that if you uploaded to Flickr that it stripped out the metadata you put in?
Pretty much.
Right.
So I'm making these little short videos. I have a few more to post. I have a few more to make. If someone has a photo organizer they really like, send me the link, email me at photodetective@maureentaylor.com, or, reach me through Facebook or one of the other places. I'm not on Twitter anymore, so don't bother talking to me there. And I'll test it. I have this one test image. It's my grandmother's birthday party. I put a lot of metadata in there. It's got people's names. It's got place. It's got address. It's got all kinds of stuff in there. And so I want to see what all these platforms do. They're not all the same. And you have to re-enter it. And then when you export it, say you sign up for a different company, right? I'm not going to say what company, but you sign up, your choice. You sign up for a different company. You re-enter all the metadata. And then you decide you don't like that company anymore, and you export those images. You might have to re-enter it all again. Now, savemetadata.org, we did a series of educational programs. We lectured at RootsTech every year. We talked about the importance of being able to have one image and use it multiple places and have your metadata read in all multiple places. And we don't have those standards. We're unable to convince the industry.
Okay, let's make sure this is the right place for that before I share the link. Let me pull it up.
But we have standards. They're in GitHub.
I know. This is like better GEDCOM. I gave up. All right, let me share my screen. Is that the right place?
That's the right place. That's
okay.
I haven't been very active in it recently, but I think Rick Voigt's now president.
I know. It's like better. It's like they will never get GEDCOM files to work. All right. So for the newbies, why is metadata important and what actually is it?
Okay. Good point, Myrt. So you have a file, you've digitized it. You have a picture or a document or whatever, and you've digitized it. Then you want to embed information in that file so it transfers with that file, so it's never lost. And that's the metadata. It can be names, it can be dates, it can be places, it can be description. It can be a lot of things based on what metadata the program you use accepts.
And it's not on the face of it or a little thing, a text box that's been added below the image.
Nope.
This is a pretty valuable thing to have and to use. And we did a Wacky Wednesday on it about 1 million years ago. And it's worth doing again because it is important.
Now, there's a workaround for this, which is when you scan your photographs, you scan them with a little card beneath it that has the information you want to save, because that will always transfer because it's visual.
It's right there visually.
It's right there that you can see it. I'm actually thinking I'm just going to go back to that, Myrt.
You know, what I do when I'm saving like a document that I find anywhere on the web that I'm going to attach to an ancestor in my my genealogy management software, I literally go through the step of pulling it into, I happen to use Snagit, but it's photo editing software. I'm a purist. I don't normally repair a photo. I like it in its normal state because I don't know if their ear was actually cut off. I have Civil War ancestors that had head injuries, but yeah. I digress. But I'm in my photo editing software and I routinely show people how to pull that little handle down in the middle bottom of the image. And it brings up a blank space where I can add a text box. And then, thank heavens, we have multiple screens. I'm crafting my citation for my genealogy management program.
Yeah.
And I copy the darn thing over here in Snagit in that little text box underneath the document or the image I just downloaded. And I can make all the discursive notes I want, which is metadata.
Right.
Tony is saying, Tony, our guy in Ireland, I just love it when we get to see you. The metadata can be thought of a bit like writing on the back of a real photo. Regularly, it gets stripped out, though, and so you use buddy files. So tell me, Tony, what buddy files is, and I'll pull that up. I do not know what buddy files.
The important thing to remember is you're going to have to export your stuff from MemoryWeb. We already lost File Shadow just like within the last month. So now we've lost 2 companies. The technology changes all the time. But when you export your photos, the metadata is still there. And you have to use the desktop uploader to download your stuff. It's there. It's just a matter of whether or not the program you're going to use can read it.
What's the deadline on this?
March 17th.
Oh, what a wonderful gift for St. Patrick's Day.
I know. I'm in the same boat as everyone else, Myrt. I'm downloading my stuff, and then I'm going to have to figure it out. But Tony, I would love to know what a buddy file is.
Okay, so we'll wait. We can always pull that back, pull you back up on the screen when we know what a buddy file is. He types long and carefully, whereas I just do a lot of typos and get the word out. I don't know. Either one works. I think he's the smarter, though.
Right.
And,
so
Barbara, my previous guest, is sending you kudos. She said, that's terrific testing. A test. I mean, this is why she's a photo detective. Test image with standards and then see what happens when you upload the same image with metadata to various sites to look for alternatives. Okay, so Tony has given us the answer. Buddy Files keeps the metadata in a related file. So it'll be image.txt and corresponding to. So then if you share it, you have to share both files, correct? The image itself and the related file, which I am not very good at doing. For me, I have to use the old-fashioned way. I grew up where, if you look at the scanned images of Bible pages that I was working with in the days when we barely had a computer, I put the photocopy into my typewriter, and across the top, I put a little citation in that it was in my possession in 1980, whatever it was, 89. And so now when I share the digital image, because I changed, that was that technology. Now we're into this technology. Yeah, that typewritten text still shows up.
Yeah.
They're not, though, re-digitized. Hillary, you wanted to say something here, kiddo.
Got about 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Whoa. Randy, we didn't even talk about your stuff. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it, Maureen. And you guys subscribe to her channel and keep up with what to do to solve your memory web problem.
And I'm on Substack.
You are?
Yes, I'm on Substack, and Barbara has given me a tutorial.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
I noticed Michael, Neil, that he's over there. And I'm this close. I'm at 97.5.
I like it. There's so much to know that it's a lot. But anyway, thank you so much for having me on to talk about metadata and the memory web issue. You know, I love the company. I loved them. I'm very sorry to see them go because they were genealogists who created a product for genealogists.
Yeah.
It worked.
People have to make their decisions, and that's difficult.
They do. They do.
All right, Maureen, thank you. I only asked you yesterday, and you know, when I saw your note this morning, well, I was up early because I was getting these incursions that my Facebook page was going to be taken down. I'm going, what? Anyway, and then you made me feel a lot better. And you said, I can make it. I'll just be a little late. So it's all good. Thank you. Appreciate you. Okay, bye. All right. So we're going to have to do a lightning round, and I will go over probably about 5 minutes. Randy has done a number of posts, which I want to share with you. Which one do you want to mention first?
I think my stories is probably the best,
okay.
the new thing, you know.
Yeah.
We've talked about AI a lot, and I keep doing it, but the My Stories is new. It's not unlike Storyworth. It's not unlike other story generators. So they announced this last week.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll get an email if you sign up for it. It's $99 retail for a year subscription. When you sign up, they will send you an email every week and ask a question, and you can write your story either on the website or in a word processor or whatever. Mm-hmm. You can include photographs, documents, things like that. Can be any length, and after a year, you'll have 52 stories. You can write your own stories that you don't want. If you don't want to write about what they suggest, you can write your own. When it comes time to publish the book, you can move the stories around so they're in some sort of order.
Logical order. Yeah.
Logical order. So being new, they didn't have the mystories.com website up yet to use. So I just wrote it all in a word processor. It took me 4 days to write 38 stories. I had most of them already in a blog post somewhere. And consequently, I have a book. So you can see the cover of my book down lower in this.
Yeah.
So this was my book. I got it last, maybe it was a week ago now. Yeah. I got it on a Friday. They announced My Stories on Thursday. And so it's like 6x9, hardbound. Go down further to the next image.
Did you have to pay extra from the $99, or did that cover the publication of the book?
Covers the publication of the book. Yeah. We don't know exactly what the maximum page count is. My 38 stories were 170 pages. And the photos add to the length, obviously. Mm-hmm. The photos could be color. I wrote an introductory post to Am I in the beginning, and I showed a picture further down in the blog post. So
I love this picture of you too.
And you can see my fingers because I had to hold the book.
I see.
The binding is so tight, you know.
Yeah.
And there's only me here, so I have no help. So that's, you know, just reviewing the stories, affected me. I'm emotional about things like this. Just remembering all those memories was fun. And so I have a book, and
that color pictures could be incorporated in
Yeah.
these things for that price is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And you can buy extra copies of it.
Yep. Yeah.
Excellent.
So that's my story.
I love it. Thank you so much. Now, Randy got to do this because he's a prolific blogger. I was invited as well in December. We got the invitation, and the deadline for submission was too tight. I had several presentations plus the wedding to go to, and I had to tell Daniel, I'm going to have to sit this one out. This is an advantage to those of you who are bloggers of becoming a more than once a month blogger or vlogger, video blogger. Randy's an influencer. I'm a not so influencer because of my retirement. And yes, and Karen says, treasure for you and your family for future generations. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited. All right, so here's what's happening, guys. First of all, I had many more things to talk about, but I think we needed to have that very important discussion about Substack. We've learned so much together today. So I really thank our Barbara for coming over, calling her ours. It's a hug. It's a virtual hug I'm giving her. Ellen found out, by the way, that the maximum page count is 300. To print is that a hardback copy, Randy? Is it hardback? It's hardback, hardbound. Okay. That's pretty amazing. I don't think you could do that with color photos for that price at lulu.com, our usual print on demand place. All right, so here's what's happening. We're just about ready to sign off for the day. And as far as Mondays with Myrt is concerned, I want to thank my panelists for being here, Hillary and Ellen and everyone and Frank and Melinda. Looks like things worked out pretty well. Thank you for sharing the link over there. Notice when when I bring in the comments from the YouTube side, that little crescent wrench indicates that Melinda is either an admin or a moderator over on the YouTube side. The same thing for Hillary. And Randy, when he posts, because he's a admin over here, it looks like Dear Myrtle's posting. He makes me look good. In fact, this show would be nothing if it weren't for my wonderful panelists and the guests that come in and explain life to us, like our Barbara has. And for Maureen for coming in. Yeah, I agree. It's brain overload. And look at this, Valerie. You know how I am about study groups. Printed out the homework pages just for today for a study group. I'm going to take a now slightly shorter than 15-minute break. And those of you who are on YouTube, when this concludes, look for book clubs you can attend for free and see what on earth those special panelists have contributed. We're talking about analysis, correlation of information items from multiple sources, and we're talking about distinctions. There's a table in here, how somebody organized their thinking. My very best neighbor, the greatest neighbor in the world, Maria, has got citations that I had to make them like 6-point font just to get them in there. So, I mean, it's amazing what these gals have done. Yes, great ideas today. So much to think about. And do not worry, folks. I'm inching up to 98% for moving over out of Facebook for very good reasons. you must know. Anyway, I'm Dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy. Happy family tree climbing, everybody. That's a wrap.